Hey, this is Kyle with Pure Storage, and today we're going to go over a way that you can use the combination of boot from SAN and Pure Storage FlashArray snapshots to really make it a lot easier to move your workload domain hosts used in VMware Cloud Foundation from one workload domain to another. So to get started, what we can see here is we're in the DCUI for an individual ESXi host that we've prepared for use in VCF. We've got SSH running, NTP set up, all that good stuff. And the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to turn this ESXi host off. So we can see the system has been halted. And here's the host, or excuse me, the cluster we're going to add that host to. But before we do that, we're going to hop over to the Pure Storage GUI. You can certainly do this via the CLI and hop into a host group. We can see that we've added this host to the host group we want, and then here is our boot from SAN volume. We're going to take an on-demand snapshot of this boot from SAN volume. We'll call it demo-bfs. And again, we're saving that state of the ESXi host prior to commissioning it within SDDC Manager. Now that we've taken that snapshot, let's go ahead and boot that host. We'll skip over a little bit, obviously, so as not to bore you. And then we are going to go ahead and commission this host within SDDC Manager. And again, we'll speed this up just to save a little bit of time here. But you can see we validated the host. We're going to confirm the fingerprint, validate it, and then go ahead and commission it. So now that this host has been commissioned, we're going to add it to a pre-existing workload domain. So in this case, we'll call it WLD2, aka sisters cluster. We'll go to add host. We can see that host is there. It's already got the proper fiber channel storage zone to it. I'll go ahead and block my license here, but we're going to go ahead and add this host to workload domain 2, also known as the sisters cluster. We can see it's adding here. I'm speeding this up again just in the interest of saving time. But now that workload domain has 2 hosts. So it's been added, but now let's say that time has gone on and we no longer need that host within that particular cluster. So here's where the really interesting thing I think starts to happen. We go back into SDDC Manager, we go into our sisters cluster, we select that host, and then we actually remove it. So this will decommission that host from that workload domain, which is great because it removes it from NSXT, removes it obviously from that vCenter instance. But typically this would require a complete re-image of that host in order to reuse it. But because we took that boot from SAN snapshot within the Pure Storage FlashArray, that's actually going to enable us to go back into this host. There's our boot from SAN LUN, and we're just going to restore it to that snapshot that we took at the beginning of this demo. So we've overwritten that boot from SAN data store. We'll go ahead and remove this host from that sisters workload domain host group. We'll add it to workload domain 1, aka bend, which is the one that we want to move this host to. So we've done that. Now, as we can see, when we go back into this host, there's a bunch of network stuff left over, a bunch of stuff that needs to be cleaned up. But all we have to do now is reset this host. We'll just go ahead and power cycle it, and that will revert us back to this ESXi host at the beginning of this exercise. So you can see we go back into the DCUI, all that networking crap is gone, and this host is now ready to be recommissioned back into SDDC Manager. So we go ahead again, I'll speed it up here just to save you all some time. VMFS on FC, everything is basically the same as before. And then we'll go ahead and recommission this host and run all those validation checks to bring it back in. So host has been recommissioned, and now we'll go ahead and add this host to our other workload domain 1, aka bend. So that is now set up. Again, I'll hide my license here. We'll go ahead and finish adding hosts to this cluster. And we'll hop over to our vCenter instance real quick, and we can see in just a second here, there it goes, that additional host has been added. Something unique too about the bend workload domain is that we have workload management enabled. So one of the really cool things about Cloud Foundation is that it controls workload management, aka Kubernetes. So this host, as it's being added to this cluster, is at the same time also being configured for use within Kubernetes. And we can see it's complete. Thanks a lot for watching. A lot more on the VMware platform guide, so please feel free to check it out. Thanks again.